Good morning, this is November Oscar 2 Charlie Whiskey, and in this update I will take a look at the Elecraft KX2, which yesterday received a test firmware for adding amplitude modulation mode. This was a known item at the time the radio was released, and there were no hardware limitations why the radio would not have amplitude modulation. So I think it was just a matter of time before the firmware was updated to add that functionality. And this could of course be very valuable functionality for someone interested in shortwave listening. Shortwave listening through USB or LSB mode is quite common. And I started shortwave listening in the late 80s and early 90s. And many times in order to, when the bands were really crowded, and many times when you use a less capable receiver, you would use a lower sideband or upper sideband to avoid interference on adjacent channels. And at least in my experience in the radios that I was using, switching to lower sideband and upper sideband would slightly increase the sensitivity of the receiver, or at least that was the impression that I got. And that's what I used to do on Sony 2010 back then. Anyway, so here we are with an Elecraft KX2. I installed the firmware, and of course switching to amplitude modulation is very simple with the mode. Switches USB, CW, and what you see also on the bottom there is amplitude modulation. So this is how it works. So one more thing that has been added. Look at the rate button. The rate button right now is set up to adjust by 10 kilohertz, and the other rate that I get really is 1 kilohertz steps. And that works fine for me, and I think there's also an adjustment that you can make. But I will leave it at 1 kilohertz. I'm pretty used to that type of functionality. I don't need to fine-tune it anymore. So here we are on 15130. What I will do is a walkthrough of the shortwave spectrum, noting a few frequencies and on another radio, and then I will come back to the KX2. The most difficult part of this comparison is the KX2's small speaker compared to this workhorse here. This is a classic Kenwood R2000. At the time I started shortwave listening, I could not even dream of getting one of these. And it is a heck of a radio. And its speaker is and speaker system is optimized for shortwave listening. It's just one heck of a radio. So we'll have to somehow detach the audio quality of the KX2 compared to the speaker. At the moment I do not have a suitable pair of external speakers to hook up to the KX2. I will try to make this comparison, and of course I will keep reminding that we could not possibly expect the audio quality of the two radios to be the same. But let's look at the sensitivity, the selectivity, the ability to pick out weak signals out of the background noise. And I will start with the Kenwood R2000, and then I will get back to the KX2.
Sunt Mariana Costian și ascult Radio România actualități. Pentru mine, este colegul meu de cabinet.
So here it is, Radio Romania. I'll start that on 5130 and just keep going down. I do have a lot of local noise that the noise blanker on the Kenwood R2000 is not very well capable of handling. And I will also test that on the KX2, and KX2's noise blanker is a lot more capable than this one. But here we are on 5130. WWV.
Que yo hice en mi camino, que lo hice por mí, no para enseñar nada, jamás me imaginé no sé, estoy enseñando ni viajando por el mundo haciendo esto, pues yo era contadora de profesión, vivo en Los Ángeles y me había especializado en impuestos y me iba muy bien, pero bueno, ese es un llamado. El 10 de agosto se celebraba el Día del Gran Perdón de Jesús y toda la ciudad acudía a la capilla de las Clarisas para ganar la indulgencia de la porciúncula. Cuando el sol
no tienen el derecho a un abogado de oficio. En otros casos criminales, en casos criminales, en Estados Unidos hay el derecho a un abogado de oficio. Fíjate, depende de los gobiernos.
At the tone, 13 hours, 29 minutes, Coordinated Universal Time.
And you could hear, if you could hear the announcement in the background, this is WWVH from Hawaii on 10 megahertz.
Come quickly, Lord Jesus. Come quickly.
High Great Spirit, Maranatha, the prophets of the Most High God and Jesus Christ. This is Teresa Caller calling from South Florida, Virginia. That are working together are using surveillance behind the Pokemon Go. So, and they're also...
Problème qui n'en est pas un. Donc c'est pour ça que nous pouvons encourager au niveau chômement et des choses-là pour nous prendre ordinaire pour le côté travail et en apportant.
I will tape a couple of AM broadcast medium wave band to illustrate the known limitation of the KX2 with very diminished sensitivity down in the AM broadcast band. And I'll just check a couple of strong signals and see if it's usable at all. Is it or is it not?
Candidato, ¿a usted le parece que después de escuchar semejante afirmación que usted hizo que and transparency, you gotta know what you're doing day one. Vote for me, Carlos Command, on August 30th. Political advertisement paid for it.
Okay, so here we are. This was the walkthrough by the Kenwood R2000. The first station that I heard, I used the wide filter, and then I narrowed it down, which I think it's more common for to make matters more compatible between the KX2 and the Kenwood R2000. So what you heard here was with the radio's narrow filter. There was only that one first station that used the wide filter, and I will switch the antenna. I don't have an antenna switch at this location, so I will just hook up the antenna to the KX2 and try to perform the same walkthrough. And here we are with the KX2 trying to do a walkthrough of the shortwave spectrum. And I will start with 15130 and keep going down all the way down to medium wave.
El de la noche. El Peak 4 de la noche, 1482. 1482. Y el de la mañana, 9481. 948 y 1.
As you can see, the signal on 12110 is barely detectable.
A los jesuitas, pero una laica continúa con los ejercicios espirituales. En este momento peregrino con 4 periodistas a Santiago del Estero, en Argentina, el país del Papa Francisco, donde el 27 de agosto.
Here we are with WWV, and I will sit here for a little bit to see if I can detect the announcements from WWVH.
At the tone, 13 hours, 44 minutes, Coordinated Universal Time.
I'm not sure if you were able to detect it. I could barely hear the faint signal of the female announcer in the background because the WWV is overpowering quite a bit.
At the tone, 13 hours, 45 minutes, Coordinated Universal Time.
Operar en el papel de la mujer y su lugar en la sociedad presenta un saldo cualitativamente trascendental y constituye uno de los fundamentales logros en sus 25 años, lo cual ha sido posible por la existencia de una revolución verdadera que cambió.
And then he left me just before he signed. And then I went back to people. Well, these people didn't know what to say, you know.
And 5025 is often sounds overmodulated to me. It could be because I'm way too close to them, but it's just overmodulated and a little bit of a spill on the sides of the signal. And here we are down to the AM broadcast band, and 1700 is a local, very strong signal here. It's a Creole community radio station. As you can see, very well suited to casual listening. And here's something very interesting. This is not a radio station that's broadcasting on 1660. This is the same signal that I get on 5025 from Cuba. And it appears on 1660 on my dial. The signal is very, very strong. This is actually the minimum volume, and it's still here. So that's a little bit of a product there. And this is one of our local AM stations here, 610, and I'm not detecting any signal from it. However, the signals that are above 1000 kilohertz are very usable for casual listening. I would have no problem taking this radio with me on a trip to listen to local AM radio and strong signal. I will not use it to hunt for weak medium wave signals, but anything above 1000 kilohertz, you will get decent reception as long as it is intended for local listening and the signal is strong enough and directed to local audiences. So thank you for checking out this review and the comparison of the Kenwood R2000 and the KX2. Both receivers are very, very capable in terms of picking up signals, and for tabletop listening, of course, the rich sound of the R2000 will be preferable, but the KX2 in terms of performance is nothing short of any other transceiver or shortwave radio out there. It is fully capable of picking up any weak signal you may be looking for, or any type of DX you may be looking for. The circuitry and the pre-selectors and all that functionality that was designed for the amateur radio bands translates very, very well into the broadcast bands on shortwave. And you should be comfortable taking this radio as a travel radio, not only to transmit and listen to the amateur radio bands, but to the shortwave broadcast bands as well. Very, very capable radio. Thank you again for checking this comparison. This is NO2CW 73.